Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Good morning, students. Now let me start the today's class by actually telling you, discussing with you firstly about the case analysis that you all had done, the mid-semester case analysis which you all had done, and where let me give you a little feedback, general feedback of what was the problem. Like I've already given you written feedback for each of you, and you all have already received it. Now you must have seen that for some of you, where what the mistake that came up was, first thing was, some of you gave me a general answer. Okay, general answer where you just said, but general answer does not always relate to the case. You should be, whatever your points are, whatever your reasons are, whatever measures, whatever suggestions you're giving, that has to be related with the case. You have to relate that. Okay, and some of you just wrote one sentence, small sentence. So four sentences for an 8 mark question. Then what is the difference with a for 4 mark question and an 8 mark question? I didn't ask you to write pages after pages, but I did tell you write couple of sentences. That where you are able to explain, where it's easy for people to understand. So that was one thing. That's the second thing. First was generally some of you gave me a general answer. Third that came up was some of you did not complete your paper. You just wrote half of the year, and I did write there that where is the rest of you have explained only one or two of the points, rest you have not done. So that was another thing, right? And some of you wrote your answer which did not relate with the question. Maybe you have not understood what it meant. I've written there also. So let me actually go question wise and discuss with you. Right. So the first question that came up was, what according to you are the probable four drawbacks in the planning process of eBay which led to its failure in China? So what could be the probable four drawbacks in the planning process? I did not ask a general drawback, but what do you think could have been the drawback in the planning process, which is why they failed in China? What could have been? Like it could have been anything. It could have been with regards to their objectives. It could have been with regards to the task. It could have been with regards to the time, prioritization of goals, task. It could be anything. Coming out with alternate courses of actions. It could be anything or some other things also. But you need to relate it with the case, that where if you take up, say for instance, that it could be with regards to their, say the coming alternate courses of action. If that is your point, for instance, so you have to relate with the case, that where do you feel that the company did not have an alternate course of action which led to the failure. That's how you have to relate it. Okay. The second question that was there, like which actually said that in October 2004, eBay EachNet decided to move its tech platform from China to US. It backfired. So what could have been the four probable reasons for the failure of the management in taking a right decision? What could have been the reasons? Why have management failed to take a right decision? This was a wrong decision actually. Okay, shifting from China to US, that backfired. That was a failure. That was a wrong decision. So what could have been the probable reasons for the failure of the management when they failed to take a right decision? It could be anything. Like it could be like with the like could be with regards to innovation. It could be with regards to expansion, with regards to initiative, or a lot of other reasons you've come up with. I looked into your reasons also, but then you have to once again relate it with the management, that management has failed in this aspect which led to failure. You have to get to that. Okay. The third one was eBay has both streamlined and globalized traditional person-to-person trading as well as web interface. So, do you think eBay has the right kind of organizational design? It could be yes as or no. It depends on what you think. It's up to you to think what you think is right. So accordingly, you have to give proper reasons to defend your answer. Now, some of you, what you have done is you gave me explain to me different types of organizational design here. That is not the answer. The question was, does eBay have the right kind of organizational design? Whatever organizational design they had, do you think that is the right kind? That was the correct one. If you feel yes, why do you think it is yes? If you feel no, you have to give your reasons. Why do you think? With proper, you have to relate it with the case. Okay, not giving me the different types of organizational designs that eBay could have followed. No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm talking of the present organizational design. Okay, the fourth one, which says that leadership is the art of motivating people to act towards a common goal, achieving common goal. Do you think eBay followed the right leadership style when the company decided to expand their business in the Chinese market? This again could be a yes or a no, depending on what you feel. Did they have the right kind of leadership style at the time when they were planning to expand their business in Chinese market? If you again feel yes, you have to defend yourself. Why do you think they had the right kind of leadership style when they decided to enter China? What do you think? Why? Why was this? Or why, if you say no, why do you think they did not have a proper leadership style when they decided to enter China? Now, again, in here, I've seen some of you, what you've done is you've given me the different types of leadership style. Company could have followed this leadership style, that leadership style, and you started explaining so many. That is not the question. Question was, the I'm talking of the leadership style of eBay. Did they have the right kind of leadership style? Whatever their leadership style was it right? Was it wrong? If you say it was right, why do you say so? If you say it is wrong, why do you say so? Okay, so this was a mistake, common mistake which came about. The last question, which was there, suggest and explain four measures which eBay could have taken to achieve its objective when the company decided to enter the Chinese market. Okay, what could have been some of the measures which eBay could have taken to achieve its objectives? What could have been? What do you think eBay should have done when they decided to enter China, which would have actually led to their success? It was a failure. eBay had been a failure. eBay was a failure when they entered China, and you all have read that case, right? So it was a problem. So why? What measures the company could have taken to avoid that disaster? What do you think could have been? So it is your suggestion that should be coming up, that eBay should have done this. Maybe they could have done this, and then you give the reason why. Why do you feel like, how would that have helped? If they had taken this measure, it would have helped. So this is how you should have been coming about. So this is with regards to how you would have to explain it. Like, I'm not saying like you made a mistake. Like, most of you have done quite well. Some of you made mistakes on some of the answers. And there's another thing which was there where quite a lot of you lost your marks is with regards to your sentences. Okay, where I've written their grammatical error or rephrase or restructure, which is actually, I mean, I could very well understand that you have understood, but what you wrote was not making sense. It was so jumbled up, totally chaotic. So I had told you, right? Simple sentences, short sentences, which like people can understand. Okay, so that was another mistake that came about. Now, why am I discussing this? So that you will have things coming up. You will have the assessments. You have two more assessments in this module. You will have your final exams happening. How and when it's going to happen, we don't know. So, but it's going to happen. So that you do not make the same mistake again, so that your marks do not get deducted because of these things. Okay. And big, and the other thing is there where I've seen, like, where, of course, like when you, I had asked you that you can refer to sources, of course. So you, when you refer to, read from sources. Now some of you, what you've done is you just copied that sentence, you've given me references, copied that sentence or copied that term in your answer, but you have not put it in the right place. You've not put it in the right place. You've just read it and you felt that is right, but you have not, maybe you have not understood what it meant, and but you've just put it. So that's also, that was something also which actually made it confusing, and you lost marks there. So writing from some place, some sources, giving the references is perfectly fine, but you should know where to put it, where you have to put it. Sometimes you cannot just copy paste a particular line. You may have to rephrase it. You may have to just fine tune it according to your writing. It may happen, but you're giving your references. So that's fine. It's not plagiarized, but you have not put it in the right place. That's where the problem was. Okay. So this is basically my feedback for you with regards to your the case analysis. Now what I'll do is, now next I'll start with actually the unit 6, which is understanding groups and teams. Okay, so this is where I start today's class. Okay, right, just a moment please. Okay, so we start with the first thing, that is where you really need to know what is a group and what is team. Now, when we talk of groups, what is happening is, groups, in a group, there can be any number of people who are there, but what is it? They have a common characteristic. Common characteristic is there, but this characteristic may not be working for, that may not be for a common cause. In a team, it'll be a common cause, but groups, they have some common behavioral pattern, some common interest, but it's not that you're going targeting with a common cause. Even when you can have a group which does not have common interest, but they're in a group, they're talking, but it's not where you work together to achieve something common. They do not work together. Okay, what happens then? Why are groups formed? They're basically to share information, sharing of information with each other, and also to make decision. You make decision, what, to help each group member perform within his or her area of responsibility. So you're making decision to help each other, help your group members to perform the responsibility. You share information and you make decision. You decide what this. How do you decide? You by making by helping each other to achieve their responsibilities. Now, groups could be formal, it could be informal, it could be like neighborhood groups in your area, in your neighborhood. You have a group which actually meets. It can happen also that. So where you discuss some common issues, where you share information, where you would like to go and meet, say in the evening when you see elderly people walking in the parks, and then they talk together, sit together and talk. That's how they talk about each other, talk about common life. There could be a social group also. Okay. Now, what is team? The team here it's much more systematic. It's much more systematic and more specific because they are targeting towards a common cause. Okay, team works together for a common cause. All the members are working together, and the members in the team working together to achieve a common cause. Now, what happens also here in the team, like everyone may not have all the skills. So this is why it says team complementary skills. So some is very good with, say, the marketing aspect. Some is very good with the research aspect. Some are good with the finance. So each has a different skill, but they're working together in the team to achieve a common objective. It could be a project. They're working together in a project to complete the project successfully. What happens up there? They are all accountable to each other. The person who's specialized, who's skilled in finance, will be accountable for all the financial aspects. Person who's responsible for marketing will be accountable for all the marketing aspects. Okay, so a common example here, what happens? Now, when we say group of college students, like for y'all, right? When you have your own group, it could be y'all have groups, friends. What happens? It could be within your own class, it could be in different class, your juniors, your seniors, or it could be other departments also. That's a group where you talk, discuss, you exchange your opinions, exchange your thinking. But when we say that a team of college students, when you team of college students, so what happens? Then you're working on a specific project, your project within the class. So there you have to have people from the same, like you were saying, it could be same class. You're working together, working with each of you have a different skill, and then you work together to achieve your project. Okay. So the next question that comes up is, why teams are so successful in organizations today? Why is it? First thing is, where it is one area which actually helps to utilize the talents of employees. Just now I said each of the person who's all the employees who are in a team working on a project, each of these members have some unique caliber, unique skills, which is needed for the project to be completed in the most successful manner. So utilization of your talents in the best possible way, and that's why the best employees are taken. The best means who has the right kind of skills. Now teams are more flexible, and they are responsive to changes in the environment, flexible in the way they work. Environment, changing of environment, it could be internal environment, it could be external environment, and accordingly the team members, they are flexible in the way they work. They are not rigid. They change their way of their working, and they respond to the changes that is there. Accordingly they work. Now what also happens is, when you have teams, so it is one way by which every employee is in on that team is involved. Everyone has to be involved because each and everyone is accountable for their work. Okay, there is democracy in teams. Democracy means every single member has a right to say. They are equally important, and because they are equally important, they know that every single member on the team knows that everyone's contribution is equally important. So what happens then? The degree of motivation starts increasing when you know that you are important there. Okay, and it also helps in employee participation where decision making is concerned. Okay, because as a team you have to make the decision how to complete that project. Every single member has to participate. So what happens? More and more employees, I mean, in other words, I'll not say more and more employees, I'll say all the employees who are part of the team starts taking actively participating in making decisions. Because if the decision fails, is a poor decision, the entire project will fail, the entire team fails. Okay, so the next question that comes up is, so what exactly is the difference between groups and teams? That's what the things comes up. So we have four different criteria. First comes up is goal. Now, when we talk of goals in groups, what happens? They share information with each other. But in case of teams, it's collective performance. They have to work together to achieve the goal. Synergy is effect. Okay, effect. So in case of groups, it could be neutral or sometimes negative effect on each other. Whereas teams are formed always to have a positive effect on each other. That's why the team is formed. The best is formed because you have a common objective to fulfill. Accountability, when it comes to accountability, it's individual members of the groups who are accountable for their own work. But in a team which is much more structured, what happens? Individually, you are answerable as well as how well are you as a team. So it's individual as well as group, team. So that's why I said mutually. You're responsible for each other also. If someone fails, you are also failing because you did not tell the person. You should have told the person in the team that this is a wrong thing. Maybe you should do something else. So you are also equally responsible if someone else fails. Okay, the fourth one which is there is skills. Now, skills in a group, it could be random and varied because it's not everyone can become a part of it. So it's not required. You do not need anything like as such that you have to have this particular skill to be part of the group. But whereas in case of a team, it is definite. It has to be some specific skills. Complementary means one cannot work without the other. In a team, you need to have, say, when you're doing a project, you need to have a finance person. You need to have a marketing person. You need to have a research R&D person. You need to have a sales person. So you need to have a HR person. So without if there is absence of any one of them, then you will not be able to work. So it's complementary. One cannot work without the other. Okay, my next thing that comes up is that's what we have. I think this is the last thing that we have for today. That is stages of team development. Okay, stages of team development. Now, the first time when this concept came about, that was in the year, it was in the year 1965, where the psychologist Bruce Tuckman, he was the first one who said that teams, they usually go through 5 stages of development: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Okay, so the stages start from the time that when a group meets for the first time until the project ends. Okay, let's discuss each of these stages. The first one, which is where we talk of forming. Forming means when you actually start forming the team. What happens in this time? So all the team members, they come together, they introduce to each other, they share information about their backgrounds, their interests, their experiences, and then they start forming opinion about each other. That's forming your opinion. Okay, then they also start learning about the project where they will have to work together. They start discussing the goals, the objectives of the project, and then start to think what role they are going to perform, each one of them, on that team to achieve the project, to complete the project on time. Now, in this case, because it's the initial stage, there is a project leader who would be also telling the entire team the goals, the objectives of the team. He or she would be giving clear instructions, clear directions regarding the project. Okay, and also discussing the roles, the responsibilities of each member of the team individually as well as a group, as a team, as together. Okay, and also telling how they're going to work together. So everything is being discussed. It's discussed, shared. Okay, once that is done, then comes up the next stage, which is storming. Storming comes from, if you see the picture, storming comes from the word storm, where they're fighting with each other. Okay, so each tries to assert their importance. They feel that they're the most important, others are not. Okay, they try to assert their importance and they feel that they're the ones who are the best, others are not. Why does this happen? Because they've never worked together before. So that is where the problem comes out. So they start competing with each other instead of working with each other, which was the purpose here. See, you see, they're shaking hands to work together. They are actually starting to compete with each other. They compete with each other. They have different opinions and they're not willing to listen to each other. Each thinks they are the best, others are all wrong. So conflict starts coming up. Okay, so what happens? What is the role of the team leader? Team leader up here has to actually solve the problems. How? By making it a point that all these members who are there, they sit together, discuss their opinion, and solve this conflict. They have to solve the conflict. They have to work together. Like they have to work independently, performing their role as well as working together as a team. And so what happens? So they know what their roles, what their responsibilities are. They cannot start fighting. Now, the third stage comes up is norming. Now, what happens? From fighting, you see, what is happening? They are helping each other. That is norming. Norming is where they start working more effectively as a team. So they are no more focused on their own goals. They are concerned about the overall objectives, goals of the project. They start working together in a way that the project can be achieved in a most effective manner. They start realizing that it's not their own individual goals which is important at this time, it's the overall goals of the project. That is the most important thing. That's why they are here. So they start respecting each other, their values, their opinions, and also their differences. So that's how it, and they, because, and you know what, a team can be successful only if there are differences. When there are differences of opinion, you start sitting together, you discuss, and you come up with a solution. If everyone starts agreeing to what you say, then it's not a proper team. Then it's not. There has to be some differences. Then only a team can work. Okay. But in this case, what happens? Because they are working together, the team leader may not be so much involved in this stage in decision making or problem solving. Why? Because the team members up here, they are working together, they can take more responsibility. You see one helping the other. So because they know that if this person does not also is not successful, then what happens? The entire team will fail. So the individual members starts taking more responsibility. So team leaders role in this case, the degree of involvement starts decreasing. Okay. And their team also knows like in which they know which direction to go about. They know they are in a better position to solve all their problems, their conflicts. Next stage comes up is performing. That's a fourth stage. Okay, where the team is performing at a very high level. See, they're holding how they're running. They're running to achieve it. They know how to do it. They've overcome all the hurdles. Now they're running to achieve their target. Their focus is reaching their goals on time and in the most effective manner. Okay, the team leader here, what is the main role? Its role is to monitor the progress, and also when achievement certain milestones are achieved, celebrate with them, congratulate them. So that helps in team unity. It helps. Okay, and also team leader here has to take part when some crucial decisions has to be made. Crucial decisions has to be made in the sense like when some higher objectives, some complex objectives has to be achieved. Things are changing outside and some complex objectives needs to be achieved. So the team leader has to take a major decision, major role here in creating, in helping in making up these critical decisions. Now, the last stage that comes up is adjourning. Adjourn means to dissolve. This is the stage where the project comes to an end. See, it's end and everyone is enjoying. Everyone is up there holding it, trying, achieving it. So they're happy. Okay, so here where when the project comes to an end, what happens? This is the time when each of these members would go back to their own departments. The finance person goes back to finance department, HR to HR department, marketing person to marketing department, R&D person to R&D department. Each would go back. Okay, they were all here for this, only for this project. And what happens? At this time, they would actually start looking back, reflecting on their performance, how they have performed as a team, how they have performed individually, to what extent have they been able to achieve their targets, how effectively have they achieved. Okay, what are the areas where they can improve upon, what are the positive sides, what are the positive takeaways, what are the areas where things could have been better. All these reflection happens at this time. Okay, so this is where I mean they celebrate their success, they are celebrating it up here, they're celebrating their success, and also they also reflect on coming up with best practices for the future. Okay, so if it's what like if somehow the could have been like the project may not have been a success, so why it has not been a success, assess what could have been done better. So that time, it's a time for sitting together and reflecting. So this is how it goes about. And then they dissolve, adjourn means to dissolve, and then they go back to their own department. But again, it happens if this project is there and then they start some new project coming where they're again working similar projects, so they know now in a like how to go about. They're in a better position. So that's all that I have for you today. Is where the presentation is concerned. Uh, okay, so now before I actually go into anything, I just have a question. Like, is there any question that you have? Have is there anyone who did not follow or any questions? What I've just said on the discussion. Is there anyone who has any question, or have you understood whatever I said?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you understood?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? No. No questions. Okay. So if you do not have a question, so my next thing is like have you read the assignment that I have given? Have you all read it? Have you all read the assignment? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
What does it say? What does it say? Can anyone tell me? What does it say? Not yet. Caution says not yet. Okay. What does it say? Like those who said they have read it. What does it say?
There are different types of choice. Some are put
Huh?
some are part, some are different.
Bhakta, your voice is breaking off. Your voice is breaking off. Can you
It
be a
says
little
that
clearer?
there
Yeah, tell me.
are different types of some full time. So how we can assess
Uh,
that way?
okay. Like what those who have not read also, it's about where it is said that where you have to work with a team of people who can are problematic, right? So and how would you as the leader of that team, as the manager of that team, what would you do? What measures would you be taking to solve that issue, to ensure that your team works? Okay, you know they are talented, but they are not willing to work. Also, they have problems, and what happens? You cannot every time say that okay, you will get a reward if you work. Reward in the sense financial reward, because a manager cannot say have that right to give a financial reward. Financial rewards comes from the board, board of directors. Managers cannot decide on that always. Okay, they have to take permission. So but and always if you start saying that okay, a financial reward is being given, what happens at some point of time? Financial constraint will also come, and that may be also a problem. Okay, so what can be done as the manager of the team? What can be done to ensure that you can resolve this problem and you can actually ensure that the team is achieving the goals effectively? Okay, that's what the question is. And I've given you a word limitation of 400 words. Now what you actually have to do, I do not want you to start totally copy pasting from places. This is not where you start copy pasting, right? You will actually have to read it, come up with your answer. If you are referring to class notes or any place, not to give the answer, okay, this is to support your answer. And please give me references from where do we have to support. Okay, Sonam Yanki says, yeah, where do we have to submit our assignments? I mean, at what time? It is clearly written by 1 p.m. Okay, it's if you read it in the classroom page, it is where you have the assessment page. Yes, it's clearly written by 1 p.m. today, right? So, and you have to submit it on your classroom as well as on the really. Okay, so you think about it. This is the situation, and you have to come up with your answer. What do you think if you had been in that position? Okay, so if you had been sitting in that position as the manager, how would you handle that team? Take it that way. Put yourself in that position and see how would you handle it. Now you have to come up with your own ways. Now you can always refer to any sources. I have no problem, but not to give the answer. To support your answer, maybe you can refer. Okay, that this is what I feel, because as we have seen earlier on these, the experts say that this. So that way, not picking up from some case and just putting it up there, that is not going to work. That is not how you answer it. Okay, so whatever references you have, you can refer. I have no problem with that. You have to give me references. Without references, I'm not going to accept it, because you know very well it's been checked by the software. Urkun does check. Urkun does check it. So it'll be problem. It'll be really problem. Like I had said, told you earlier also, now also, please be very careful with this. Okay, so this is how you should be going about with it. Okay, any question? Anyone has any question? Does anyone have any question? Or are you okay with it? Are you clear, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is where I'll stop today, right? And now you can actually go back to the go back to your go to classroom page. This is where you have the assessment page, and start working onto it and submit by 1 p.m. today. And I'll see you next week in the class. Okay, right?